The Galactic Archive hummed with the weight of 10,000 civilizations. Keeper Vrel stood before the holographic display, his 4 eyes gleaming with pride as he gestured toward the massive structure rotating in the projection. This, he announced to the assembled delegation, is the predecessor monument of Terminus 9. Built approximately 12,000 cycles ago by the ancient ones who ruled this sector before the Great Silence. Note the perfect geometric precision, the impossible weight distribution, the molecular bonding that predates modern fusion technology. The delegates murmured in awe. All except one. Captain Marcus Webb scratched his chin, squinted at the hologram, and let out a sound somewhere between a cough and a laugh. "You all right there, human?" Vrel asked, his translator struggling with what sounded suspiciously like stifled amusement. Yeah, Marcus said, waving his hand. "Sorry. Continue." Vrel bristled but carried on. "As I was saying, the metallurgical composition alone suggests capabilities far beyond our current understanding. The alloy has withstood 12 millennia of environmental decay with minimal degradation." "Minimal?" Marcus said, stepping closer to the hologram. He pointed at a brownish-orange discoloration covering roughly 30% of the structure's surface. "That's rust." Silence fell across the chamber like a heavy blanket. Excuse me?" Vrel's voice carried an edge sharp enough to cut atmosphere. "Rust. Iron oxide. Happens when you leave steel out in oxygen and moisture for, a few decades." Marcus tilted his head, studying the structure with the casual interest of someone examining a garden shed. "Actually, looking at that corrosion pattern, I'd say this thing's made of plain carbon steel. Nothing fancy. Probably wouldn't even pass modern building codes back on Earth." A Threxian delegate, her 6 legs trembling, spoke up. You cannot be serious. The predecessors were gods among the stars. Their technology was legend." "Their technology was a Quonset hut," Marcus said flatly. He turned to Vrel. "Can we get actual measurements? I'm talking dimensions, not just pretty pictures." Vrel's skin flushed a deep purple, the keeper equivalent of indignation. But he pulled up the technical specifications with a gesture that bordered on aggressive. Marcus read them, his eyebrows climbing toward his hairline. 30 meters long, 12 wide, prefabricated arch design with corrugated paneling. He started laughing. Actually laughing. "Oh man. Oh, this is good. What is so amusing about a sacred monument?" demanded Counselor Thex, her crystalline voice ringing with offense. "Because we didn't just build things like this," Marcus said, still chuckling. "We built millions of them. Billions, probably. We called them sheds. Storage buildings. Warehouses. Barns. Hell, my Uncle Jerry had one in his backyard where he kept his lawn equipment and a broken jet ski he kept saying he'd fix." The chamber erupted in protests. Vrel's 4 eyes narrowed to slits. "Impossible. The predecessors vanished 12,000 years ago. Humanity only achieved space travel 300 cycles past." 347, actually, Marcus corrected. "But yeah, you're not wrong about the timeline being weird." He walked around the hologram, studying it from different angles. "Got any information about what was inside this thing when you found it?" Vrel hesitated. The interior was empty. The excavation team found no artifacts, no technology, no remains. Only dust and these markings. He displayed a series of symbols etched into the metal near what appeared to be a door. Marcus leaned in, his casual demeanor vanishing like smoke. His face went pale. "Those aren't alien symbols," he whispered. "Of course they are. The predecessor alphabet has been studied for centuries." "No." Marcus's voice had gone very quiet, very serious. "Those are serial numbers. Manufacturing codes. And unless I'm completely losing my mind." He pulled out his personal data pad, fingers flying across the screen. That's a Terran standard format. TSF-4-7. We've used that system for 800 years. The silence that followed could have suffocated stars. But that would mean, Thex began, her voice trembling. That would mean humans were here first, Marcus finished. He looked up from his datapad, and for the first time since entering the archive, his expression was deadly serious. 12,000 years ago. We were already here. And then something happened that made us forget everything. Vrel made a choking sound. That's not possible. The predecessors achieved faster than light travel, built stations across 3 galaxies, possessed weapons that could crack planets. Yeah, Marcus said softly. We did. He pointed at the rust-covered structure. And then we lost it all. Fell back down to caves and stone tools. Had to climb back up from nothing. He turned to face the assembled delegates, and every species in that room suddenly understood why humanity had a reputation for being just a little bit terrifying. So here's my question, Marcus continued, his voice carrying across the chamber with uncomfortable clarity. What the hell happened to us? What could possibly knock humanity down so hard that we forgot we'd already conquered the stars? Outside the archive, alarms began to sound. The alarms weren't supposed to go off in the archive. Nothing ever happened in the archive. It was the most secure, most boring, most absolutely safe location in the entire Galactic Federation. Vrel's communicator exploded with panicked voices. His skin shifted from purple to a sickly gray as he listened. What's happening? Marcus demanded, already moving toward the exit with the kind of efficiency that came from too many emergency drills. Impossible, Vrel muttered, his 4 eyes blinking in different patterns. The perimeter sensors detected something. A ship. But not just any ship. Spit it out, Keeper. It matches predecessor design specifications. Exactly. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Marcus grabbed Vrel by his ceremonial robes, which was incredibly rude by about 17 different species standards, but nobody stopped him. Where? Show me now. They ran. Well, Marcus ran. Vrel sort of floated quickly while the other delegates scrambled behind them in various states of panic. The archive's central observation deck offered a view of the surrounding space, and right now that space contained something that absolutely should not exist. The ship hung there like a memory made solid. Dark metal, human design philosophy written into every line and curve, but scaled up to something that could house a small city. And yes, it was definitely rusted. Huge patches of orange-brown decay covered its hull like some kind of cosmic disease. How big is that thing? Whispered Thex, pressing against the observation window. Marcus pulled up the scanning data on the nearest console. His hands were shaking. 4 kilometers long. Mass readings are off the charts. And according to these energy signatures, it's been in some kind of stasis field for. He stopped, recalculating. 11,943 years. Give or take a decade. It's waking up, said a Vraxian technician, her voice high with terror. Whatever was keeping it dormant just failed. Can we hail it? Marcus asked, his military training clearly taking over. We've been trying. No response to any standard frequencies. Try the old ones, Marcus said suddenly. Terran Standard Emergency Band. 7.83 MHz. Vrel stared at him. That frequency hasn't been used in living memory. Just do it. The technician complied, her appendages dancing across controls that suddenly seemed very inadequate. Static filled the observation deck. Then, cutting through the noise like a knife through silk, a voice. Human. Male. Tired beyond measure. This is Ark Ship Defiance, Captain James Holt commanding. If anyone's receiving this, we've failed the mission. Repeat, we have failed. The scourge cannot be stopped. We managed to slow it down, bought maybe 12,000 years, but it's coming back. It always comes back. Marcus felt his stomach drop into his boots. We tried everything, the recording continued. Holt's voice was breaking. Weapons that could shatter moons. Technology that bent physics into knots. We threw everything at it. Won a few battles, lost the war. So we made a choice. A terrible choice. What choice? Marcus whispered to the recording, even though he somehow already knew. We're wiping the database. All of it. Every schematic, every weapons design, every piece of technology that could be used against organic life. Because that's what the Scourge does. It turns our own tools into weapons against us. It learns. It adapts. It corrupts. Thex made a sound like breaking glass. The great silence. The predecessors didn't vanish. They chose to forget. We're scattering, Holt's voice continued. Breaking into small groups. Taking primitive transport. We'll seed ourselves on habitable worlds throughout the galaxy, start over as if we'd never reached the stars. It'll take millennia to climb back up. Maybe by then, we'll be different. Maybe we'll find another way. There was a long pause, filled with the sound of distant explosions. To whoever finds this message, human or otherwise, I'm sorry. We left you breadcrumbs. Ruins. Clues. We hoped you'd figure it out before it came back. We hoped you'd be ready. The massive ship's running lights began to flicker. One by one, sections started powering up after 12,000 years of sleep. The ship's automated systems are activating, the technician reported, her voice climbing toward hysteria. Something triggered its wake-up protocol. Marcus closed his eyes. It wasn't us finding that shed. It was the shed. The rust. The decay finally ate through whatever shielding was keeping this ship hidden from sensors. Attention, Holt's recording suddenly shifted, became mechanical. Warning. Scourge energy signature detected. Distance, 200 light-years. Estimated arrival time, 6 solar months. All defensive systems compromised. Arc ship Defiance cannot fulfill primary mission parameters. Initiating emergency broadcast. The view screen changed. Something was moving between the stars. Something vast and wrong, like a wound in space itself, darker than the vacuum around it. Well, Marcus said, his voice steady despite everything. That explains what happened to us. He turned to Vrel and the assembled delegates. And now we've got 6 months to remember everything we forgot, rebuild everything we lost, and fight something that beat us when we were gods. That's impossible. Vrel protested. We need decades. Centuries. Marcus smiled, and it was the most terrifying expression Vrel had ever seen on any species' face. Yeah, probably. But here's the thing about humans. We're really, really good at doing impossible things when we're angry. He looked back at the approaching darkness. And buddy, we just found out something made us forget we ruled the stars. That makes us very angry indeed. The observation deck erupted into chaos, but through it all, Marcus stood calm, already planning, already thinking. 6 months to save the galaxy. He'd worked with tighter deadlines.